What's up, dude?
Hello? Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I wanted to be very clear about my pronouns. But no, I wanted to first thank Dr. Ben for having probably a different schedule because I normally don't get off work in time in order to call in. So this is
Right.
great. Um, my main thing is like, oh, I did want to get your insight on some, I guess, particular anti-trans media things. I mean, maybe we can talk a bit about South Park. I certainly don't want to straw man you about anything. So what I've uh, heard once recently enough is that like the portrayal of the man who was a woman in Ace Ventura is actually really hateful. But like I interpreted it as um, a person who was bullied so much that they went insane first, and their only like solution was to portray as a woman, slut their way up through the police ranks so they could be in charge, and then act out this grand scheme of murder. Of course, there could be plenty of plot holes, but I never saw it as like oh, it's showing a trans woman is insane first. Like, what do you think about that?
I think this is incredibly problematic. Like, if it is the way that you're explaining, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, but
Okay.
like the idea that like this person is trans because they had a mental illness first is exactly the rhetoric that a lot of people are using to invalidate trans people. So I think it perpetuates some negative stereotypes that we're already trying to fight, and I'm sure there's other things that I could dislike about it too, but I mean, just hearing what you're saying, I can see why it's problematic.
Yeah. I mean, I watched Ace Ventura like probably 2 decades ago now, but I don't really remember all the details. But what I do remember is the scene where it gets revealed that this person, is quote unquote really a man, and is it everyone starts vomiting or just Jim Carrey?
Um,
Uh,
well, yeah, if I may explain that, because that's the irony of that. You could agree with Joe Rogan. Yeah, I think a few years ago he complained how he was kind of upset with the movie. He didn't think it was great, and he felt uncomfortable watching with his son because he said everyone puked at the end. But I think that was a misunderstanding plot hole. Jim Carrey in the middle of the movie did overreact, puke, and put a plunger to his mouth to help him puke, and just weird stuff like that when he discovered it. But at the end of the movie, he they kind of make a point show that the villain, let's call them, uh, kisses the football player he wants to kill. And when the reveal happens, the football player is just sitting. And then it shows like the black guy sitting and rubbing his tongue. And everyone's just sitting. I think it's like a missed detail. I don't know how much it matters. But I think that was the point. It's just they are all maybe, yeah, the personal people could be kind of anti-trans or whatever because they're personally upset with kissing a man, that idea.
but I mean, that's exactly the
But they were
problem,
just,
right? Like
yeah,
that's exactly the problem is that you know trans women who are women, men are attracted to us, they are interested in us, they pursue us in some way, and then if they find out after the fact that we're trans women,
mm-hmm,
then they think, oh no, I've been tricked into kissing a man when they haven't. And
mm-hmm.
this movie plays on that stereotype. The only reason that that
Okay,
scenario has any impact on the audience is because they're all relating to this, cultural myth that you could get tricked into kissing a man who would be a trans woman and how awful and disgusting that would be. Like, if you want a pass to watch movies that you have some sort of nostalgia with, and uh,
mm,
that by all means watch South Park, watch Ace Ventura. But I think you can watch
right,
those things, still enjoy the parts that are not problematic, and have a critical lens of the parts that are problematic. I think, I can still watch Harry Potter. I'm not going to buy new Harry Potter products personally, but I can
right,
still watch Harry Potter and acknowledge, oh, yeah, that portrayal of the goblins is a little sus. Definitely has some anti-Semitic vibes, whether or not it actually is anti-Semitic, right? Like, I think you can enjoy the things that you enjoy, in your life, and
Yeah.
still critically analyze them and accept that maybe, our culture is deeply entrenched in transphobic beliefs. It has been for, most of our history. And so a lot of our media is going to reflect that. And I mean, the South Park, it's a shame because I used to really appreciate the irony in South Park, of like, a lot of the times the awful things they say is because they're pointing out how ridiculous it is if somebody actually said that. But the anti-trans stuff in South Park is just anti-trans. I mean, there's no like, can you imagine how ridiculous it would be if somebody actually hated trans people that way? That could be really funny and really like socially impactful. But instead, they have a giant hulking man wearing a sports bra dominating a sports competition, and that is the entire depth of the scenario. There's no like, oh, why can't trans people win? Is it so bad if trans people win a competition every now and then? Like, just because we win a competition doesn't mean we're dominating. Like, there could be a lot of good commentary in there that you could make a lot of really good jokes about, but instead the commentary is completely surface level. Oh, imagine if a big hulking man put on a sports bra and won a women's sports competition. And that is the entirety of it, right? So it's like, I again, if you want to pass to watch South Park, by all means, watch South Park. Just don't be uncritical of it. Like, be willing to engage with the fact that a lot of our media has transphobic stuff in it. For example, I think Jimmy Carr is really funny. I think part of his allure is that he says the worst things a human being could possibly say, and that is funny because he really does say all of the absolute worst things you can imagine a human being saying. And some of that gets read as transphobic, right? And maybe justifiably so. That doesn't mean that I don't think that he's not funny sometimes, but I can just acknowledge that, like, yikes, that joke definitely probably could have stayed in the drafts, but like, you can enjoy media without having to be uncritical of it. Also, the only other thing I have to add at the end of this rant is stop watching Joe Rogan.
Oh no, that's the thing. It's like before he went off the deep end, I would watch some clips because of Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I came across this short bit where I just found it funny that Joe Rogan had a problem with the Jim Carrey movie. Like he didn't like the anti-trans implications. And I agree that it sucks that it was okay back then, or okay, right? It's never okay. And I guess the last thing I'll say about the Jim Carrey movie was because everyone was spitting, that's how I interpreted it. Like, oh, he was flooding his way up. That's the only way in this reality he could quickly get to the top of the police department is by getting everyone like sleeping with them or providing sexual favors. And like that, I think that was what it was trying to convey. Is like, oh, no, we're putting a Band-Aid over the plot hole and therefore it still leads to sexism things. Like, of course, that's the only way a woman could get ahead. And I don't like that notion either. I guess I'm just being like, semantics. I had never seen the South Park. I knew about the Randy Savage Macho Man kind of spoof, and I still, from what I understand of South Park stuff, I always thought too that whatever they show, it is the silliness cranked to 11, and so I thought they were like showing what all these idiots believe it's going to be. It's going to be literally Hulk Hogan, Savage Man, getting to the top of sports because they just say they're women. And I thought that was like still making fun of the awful like Republicans doing that.
Not really in this situation. I think there's like some great examples. There was a South Park, I don't know if it was like multiple episodes or one, where like people came from the future and there was this whole like, they're gonna take our jobs, and they started being like, they started saying it in like a ridiculous tone because they couldn't stop saying take our jobs, right? And the whole butt of the joke there is how Americans have this like uncurable fear of immigrants and immigrants taking our jobs, even though, you know, they often take the jobs that a lot of Americans like don't think they want or whatever. Regardless, the butt of the joke is the bigoted, xenophobic people in that bit. But in the South Park bit about trans people, it's absolutely not that. If you actually watch it, it's pretty much just straight up like actually leaning into sort of like anti-woke kind of notions about trans people. And yeah, I mean, like, go ahead and enjoy Ace Ventura, but I think you're maybe bending over backwards to try to make it sound not transphobic when it's probably just, you know, an Occam's razor thing, you know. I think you're adding too many variables to your thing there. It's probably just the case that it's actually just transphobic, and, you know, that sucks.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean you can't, like, enjoy it and laugh at other parts of it and just kind of have an awareness of, like, yeah, this thing's kind of, there's some bad parts of it, but, you know, it's a movie I've always liked, and there's this part that's good, so I'm gonna watch it to enjoy that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that I interpreted art the right way, in a way. I'm not remotely hateful, and I didn't believe any of those things were right when I watched it the first time, kind of thing. Or at least it certainly didn't change who I am, or mold who I am today. Because, yeah, I'm like really happy that you are doing the show, because like I've learned a lot. I will dox myself in the sense that I'm a straight man, and it's just like, yeah, I've learned a lot, and I like the show, and I do hope to call back and have other honest, nice discussions. Gave me good things to think about and consider.
Right on.
So yeah, I enjoy Harry Potter too, and like I wish it wasn't created by an awful person. So
yeah, likewise. Well, thank you so much, dude. I appreciate you calling in. I think if you're the guy that I see on Twitter all the time who also goes by dude, it's nice to hear your voice for the first time.
Oh no, I stay off Twitter.
Okay, different person. Cool. Well, you both go by dude, but anyway, thanks so much, dude. And look forward to hearing back from you in the future. I mean, definitely this conversation could evolve more and go into, yeah, you could talk about it again. So talk to you soon. Thank you so much for calling.
All right. Good day.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimmy Snow, executive producer of The Line, and the rumors are true. Forrest Valkai is, in fact, a hostage in my basement. If you would like to contribute to his freedom one day, you can do so by supporting us over on Patreon or becoming a channel member. There are specific tiers for specific shows or the channel at large. You can also send us super thanks. Those are great. You can like, comment, and subscribe. Also, fudge the algorithm. Go to one of these things. The algorithm doesn't matter. It thinks it knows you better than we do. Better than you do? I know you better, Hank. There's a bunch of people named Hank. I just freaked way out. Okay, go to one of these.